You know, there's some things that transport me straight back into my childhood. If that be the sound of a PlayStation 2 booting up, or maybe it's hearing the intro to Tsunami coming on after school, or maybe it's this. The weight of it, the worn corners, the artwork that's just faded enough to tell that you loved it a lot. The little flap opening and even the smell. It's funny how a piece of plastic can hold so many memories for me. Back then, movies weren't something you scrolled through to watch, it was something you owned. Or something you rented. Or maybe it was something that you watched over and over and over again because it was sitting right there next to the TV. And in 2026, I find myself collecting VHS tapes. Not because it's high quality or it's practical, but because it holds a little piece of my childhood within these plastic barriers we call a VHS tape. But you might be asking yourself, why VHS? And there's a lot of answers to that. I've noticed something over the past few years where physical media is starting to become special again. And for a long time, everyone thought streaming was the future. Unlimited movies, unlimited TV shows, everything available instantly. At least that's what we were promised. But now, everybody has their own streaming service, prices are definitely going up. Shows disappear overnight because of license changes, and somehow there's so many options where I will spend 20 minutes scrolling through different streaming platforms just to end up watching YouTube, which there's nothing wrong with that. But with VHS, there's not 1,000 options. You grab a tape and put it in, and that's what you're watching for the night. There's something very relaxing about that. And then before you know it, you kind of have a little collection of VHS tapes. Over the past few years, I've been kind of surprised of how much of a collection I've grown with my VHS tapes. Some people collect horror, some people collect Disney, but mine's more of like a snapshot into my childhood, and I love that. One of my favorite sections in my collection is my Dragon Ball Z tapes. I have managed to put together a complete Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z collection. I have every tape that has come out in America and a couple in Japan that we never got over here. Before streaming, this is how you owned anime. You waited for the next tape and you bought one episode at a time, or you could be like me and begged your parents to pick up a tape while you were shopping for groceries. It was quite the reoccurrence. Today you can binge hundreds of episodes instantly, but these just feel a little bit more exciting to me. But then there's my Ninja Turtle tapes, and shockingly, some of them have surprisingly gotten very expensive. There's a few rare tapes that came out very late in the lifespan for the cartoon for VHS home releases, and they catch some serious money now. But I just love the artwork on these, the fonts they used, and the different kind of creativity they had with these kind of tapes. They look like they belong on a toy shelf just as much as a movie shelf. Now, I do think I collect more on the cartoon side of things, but I do have a wide variety of different 80s and 90s movies as well. Just kind of things that I picked up over the years. One of my favorite ones being Super Mario Bros. On VHS. We watched this a ton on TV growing up, and I absolutely love it, even though it's considered to be a bad movie. But just to have something like this and have the nostalgia connection with it as Sunday mornings waking up and my parents are cooking breakfast, and guess what? Super Mario Brothers is on the TV. These are the kind of tapes you would find sitting on the shelf at Blockbuster. Some were huge hits and some were kind of weird, and honestly, some probably shouldn't even exist, but they are little time capsules. Now, some of my favorite movies that I've gotten over the years is my Disney original channel movies. This part of the shelf might hit the hardest for me. I'm talking Johnny Tsunami, I'm talking Jumping Ship. These movies felt like events growing up. I would wait every single week for a new movie to pop up, and they were usually all bangers, so I definitely wanted to add some to the collection. But instead of waiting for a TV show to come on Friday nights, now they're safely sitting on my shelf to watch anytime I want. Yes, I know there's Disney Plus, I can do the same, but it's not the same to me. But then I have some tapes that are kind of out there and I never thought I'd really own, like my PBS tapes. Things like Magic School Bus. Is it educational? Yes. Is it comforting? Also yes. I have such great memories of checking these out at the library and watching them in elementary school, and it kind of just brings me back to a very simple time. I know everyone remembers that TV rolling into the classroom and the lights being turned off and the tape is playing in front of the whole entire class, and it's an oddly specific memory, but I feel like a lot of us have that, and I cling on to those things. And other things I kind of cling on to is Nickelodeon tapes. The classic orange branding with the amazing cartoons that came out throughout the 90s and the early 2000s. This was the era that Nickelodeon felt different. in a great way. Every tape kind of reminds me of early Saturday mornings with a bowl of cereal, cartoons playing for hours, and no notifications coming from a phone or from a computer. I feel like that era just kind of allowed us to be a kid. But speaking of being a kid, one of the hugest things within my childhood was Pokemon, and it's still huge today. I remember playing Pokemon Red and Yellow and not even realizing there was an anime that was dedicated towards it. I'd never seen it on TV until I went to a friend's house and he had VHS tapes of it, and I was amazed. These tapes were something that I wanted to get ever since I was a kid. I wanted a full collection of them, and in my adulthood, I finally got them. It doesn't matter that they're not rare or they don't really cost that much, but it does matter that it's something I missed out on in my childhood, but I'm able to obtain in my adulthood. I will never forget how jealous I was of my friend for having these VHS tapes, and I've never stopped thinking about it until I obtained my own. You can put it on a Pokemon VHS, and at any point during that episode, if I see it, I'm probably going to sit down and watch it because it scratches that nostalgia itch for me. But people honestly will probably ask, why VHS? And it's not because it's convenient. Collecting usually isn't convenient. It's about memories. When I walk into the room with my VHS collection, I'm not seeing pieces of plastic just sitting on a shelf. I'm thinking of Friday nights with the family and at a rental store, or hanging out with friends watching a B horror movie on the weekends. Or it could be a memory of you falling asleep while tape played throughout the night and it just got a little too late. These tapes tell stories before they even put it into the VCR. But also I'm seeing in 2026, there's a huge resurgence in physical media. Look at it. Vinyl records, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K. Physical media is definitely strong right now, even with recent events of people trying to cancel that. People are wanting to own their own things, not renting them, not buying them just to get them taken away later down the road. Streaming is convenient, and I will never deny that. But owning something, knowing something will be there years from now, that feels different. There's something comforting about walking over to your shelf and just choosing a movie yourself. There's no internet, no subscription, no algorithm, just hey, I want to watch that. But maybe that's why VHS collecting has become one of my favorite pastime hobbies. Not because it's the best way of watching a movie, but because every tape reminds me of a different moment growing up. Some remind me of Saturday mornings, some remind me of summer vacations, and some have even reminded me of early school days. But maybe that's what nostalgia really is, not trying to relive the past, but just appreciating some of the little pieces that somehow survived. But I want to know from you, is there a VHS tape from your childhood that you've always wanted, or maybe there's something you'll never get rid of? Let me know in the comments below. But I'm Cameron, this is Retro Carnage, peace.